Hello. Hello. Does anyone else? Does anyone else just have days like this where you're just? Okay. Okay. Like, does anyone else have days like that? Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, does anyone else wear big T-shirts around the house? Like. Oh my god. Okay. Let me just. I'm gonna keep this in. I'm not gonna edit this out, I promise. Okay. This is stupid. Like, this is stupid. Okay, anyway. You saw the title of the video. Oh my god, now it looks like Eileen Warnos. Okay, anyway. This is my brain. I'm sorry. And I'm not even like... this is just me. On a normal day. Okay, anyway, sorry about it. But yes, even though we did a book haul last month, and we did a book haul the month before on this channel, we're doing a book haul again. Because that's just who we are. That's who we are. That's a part of my ministry. So, we're going to go over the books that I just bought recently. While I look like this and wear a big t-shirt. I feel a little bit under the weather today. But it is allergies. Living in the South in spring is rough. It's rough. Although I imagine it'd be rough living in the Midwest as well. But here we are. So, I bought many things. And the first one I bought was a magazine that I used to buy all the time. And I loved it about 10 years ago. And it's called the Herb Quarterly. I loved the Herb Quarterly for so long because, I guess you would say, green witchcraft is and was and is and yeah, still is a big chunk of my practice, my witchcraft, my warlockery involves a lot of greenness. I just love working with plants. I love plant imagery. Obviously, I love plants. I draw so much power from plants. I think they're so magical. And I would say that I probably work with plant spirits and plant energy more than animal energy. Which is wild. And I used to keep a lot of potted plants, like container plants. And just for the fun of it. And then about 8 years ago, I got a cat. And which is now multiplied into 3 cats. But I got a cat, and he killed all of my plants. So, I thought, I just have to give up plants now. Because at the time, I did not have a space to keep them outside. So I thought, this is the end of my journey with plants. And this year, abruptly, just this month, my husband said, no, we're gonna do that again. We're gonna get back into plants. Like, you're gonna do your plant thing. So, we bought a plant. Over the course of 2 weeks now, we have bought, not even 2 weeks, I think 1 week, we have bought, 15 plants. And they're mostly herbs, all kinds of herbs, some tomatoes, some radishes. So yeah, some vegetables, some herbs, and then a fern, of course. What garden is complete without one? And then 2, I don't know what to call them. I forget what they're actually called. 2 very bright pink fern adjacent type of plants. So anyway, I picked up the Herb Quarterly again. And that's what started this whole journey, I think, again, of the plants. I brought this in. My husband saw me reading it. And I was like, God, I used to love this. I still have some back issues from 10 years ago. But I love this. And I think my husband, that's what made him be like, so why aren't you doing it right now? So, yes. The Herb Quarterly is good. It is not just a plain magazine, like a non-magical magazine. I almost said a secular magazine, so if you grew up Christian, you know what that means. But, yes. It is wonderful. And you look at it and you think, oh yeah, my grandma could read this. Like, this is for any church lady or non-magical person. That is true. However, there is so much inside for a magical person. So, when you open it up, it's... First off, the pages are so thick and, like, wonderful. I love the imagery. Like, the aesthetic of this magazine is me and my vibe. But, yeah, you open it up and you start reading... And you're like, this is cool, this is cute, there's lots of ads for businesses. But then you really start reading the articles and you see something like this. Ostara's Renewal Green Tea Sugar Scrub. And you're like, Ostara? Ostara? Like, what? And the first sentence is, Ostara, the Germanic goddess of spring. And you're like, wait a minute. And then over to the side, you see some ads. But you see this ad. The Way of the Witch. Intuitive Living Elevated. Empowerment Tools for a Magical Life. And you're like, wait a minute. Hold up. But then we go back to just regular old stuff about, like, how to raise bees. And, like, green peas and how to raise peas. You get an ad for a recliner. Like... It's very normal again. And you're like, okay, maybe I was just tripping a little bit. Because now we're talking about, natural beauty with parsley. And you're like, okay, cool. Love that. But then you keep reading, and you're getting through weed tonics, medicine making. And then you start reading about, like, the shamanic influences of herbs. You're like, wait a minute. Talk about the Ayurvedic herbs. And you're like, wait a minute. But then we go on this journey again about herbs around the world and their uses. And suddenly we're back to Secularville again. But then suddenly you have an ad again for, like, a witch website. And then you go back to, like, botany for everyone. Like, this magazine is constantly tricking you back and forth where they're like, this magazine's for everybody, diva. And then you go through something and you're like, wait a minute, this is pagan as hell. So anyway, it's a really, really lovely magazine. Like, lovely. And they have a cannabis corner every issue now, which they did not do that when I last read, but I now realize that they do. But yes, lovely. See, and then you get to the back and you're like, there's an article for a book on healing magic. Is this a pagan magazine in disguise? My answer is a resounding yes. It is definitely in disguise. It is not it's not out of the broom closet at the pagan magazine, but it's a pagan magazine. So anyway, I can't believe I spent like 8 minutes rambling about that. But the Herb Quarterly. I love it. I really love it. And it has something for everybody in here. I know people always say that. But it's true. They talk about cooking with herbs, using herbs as medicines, using herbs as beauty products. In every single issue they do that. They give you like a recipe to cook with. They give you something to make to slap on your skin. They give you something to take as a supplement. Like, it's a really good magazine. It really, really is. Herb Quarterly, sponsor me. But... yeah, it's great. Next, I bought Witch in the Kitchen. So, I think it's easy to assume if someone's into green witchcraft, then you're probably also into kitchen witchcraft. They usually go hand in hand, that type of personality, and that is me. So, I got Witch in the Kitchen. Self-explanatory. Magical cooking for all seasons. It's a bunch of recipes for different Sabbats and Esbits and things around the year. Magical things to do in the kitchen, blessings to do in your pots and pans, things like that. Excited for it. Then I bought a classic, a staple in the magical community when I was coming up in the early 2000s. And that is Garden Witchery, Ellen Dugan, who has since stopped writing pagan books, which is upsetting to me. She's still pagan. She's still a super witch. But now she really writes like paranormal fiction and like paranormal romance. So that's cool though, if that's your jam. But anyway, this book was huge when I was coming up into paganism, along with like Silver Ravenwolf. Ellen Dugan was just everywhere. Everywhere. Everybody had a book on Ellen Dugan, it seemed like. Whoever I met that was a witch at the time. And this was usually one they had. I've looked through this book extensively. I bought it as a gift for people before. But I never had one for myself. And I just decided to finally, dig through up in there. Anyway. Next, I bought several bargain books, like clearance books. And they were pretty cheap. The tags are still on them. I bought Beliefs That Changed the World. The History and Idea of the Great Religions. And I bought that because I always like to have a book that kind of sums up stuff for me. Like in bite-sized pieces. And what I like about this is how much time they devote to each religion. So, like, we have Judaism. The first 29 pages of the book are devoted to Judaism. And I love how he talks about, Kabbalah in it as well. I think it's he. Yes. Christianity, which takes up probably the most pages out of anyone, but that's to be assumed. And then we have Islam. We have India, which I'm, obviously very excited to read. Buddhism, which I wish he would talk about Shintoism in there. Maybe he does. But we have probably during Japan he does. And then we have China with Taoism and Confucianism and, all the philosophies. So that's really cool and exciting. I can't wait to dig into that as well. Then, this one I'm really excited for. The aesthetic of this book I enjoy. Again, it's that cardboard kind of recycled paper feeling that the Herb Quarterly has. I'm very drawn to that. I like the way it feels. I love the graphic. I love this. I love the colors. But anyway, Psychology. From Spirits to Psychotherapy. The Mind Through the Ages. Hello. The title alone, I was like, we're purchasing. Then I bought Hinduism, a graphic guide. And I just bought it because it's basically a graphic novel. It's a comic book. And I love comic books. And I love Hinduism. So why not get them together? And it was only $3. So I got that. I bought... Oh, yes. I bought this really cool hardcover of Chinese astrology. I want to dig deeper into Chinese astrology. I would say that I'm past the beginner. I'm past the beginner part of Chinese astrology, I feel like. But I'm not as well versed in Chinese astrology as I am in Western astrology, which I think it's pretty much all of us. I feel that I'm in the intermediate stage of Chinese astrology, but I want to go deeper. I really, really love Chinese astrology, kind of more than Western astrology. And yeah, I want to advance my intermediateness. So I got this. I'm very excited for it. It's beautiful, but as are most things from the Asian culture, like, they're just beautiful. They're all about aesthetic, and it's just gorgeous, and it shows. But anyway, so I got this. And then lastly, I got a book that some of you might be like, pass. And that is Jesus Christ. Okay, Jesus Christ. That's the name of the book. And it is the Jesus of history and the Christ of faith. And that's fascinating to me because, I know about Jesus from a faith perspective. Like I do. I know the Bible pretty well. But what intrigues me is like people who try to put religion aside and just see, was Jesus a real person? Was he human? Was he like a Mahatma Gandhi? Was he like a Martin Luther King? Was he just that type of figure for his people at that time? And history has turned him into a demigod. Like, is that what's happened? Was he just a real person? It's interesting to think about, in that way. And I hope that book, as it says here, I hope that it kind of digs into that. Because we don't really have any firm historical evidence to show that Jesus was a real person. But anyway, maybe this book will prove me wrong. But yeah, I'm excited to dig through that as well. As you can see, my path is very eclectic, as are most of us now in the 21st century on a pagan path, or a witchy path, or shaman path, whatever path you're on. Your focus can be in one thing, like me. I really like to focus on Celtic mythology, Celtic lore, as a foundation for my path. But from there, it grew into Hinduism. Hinduism is a big part of my foundation as well. But then we threw in a little Norse stuff. We threw in a little, like, Arabic culture stuff early on. I don't totally discount my Christian upbringing. I did for a long time, but not anymore. We got the Chinese astrology. We have modern day psychology. Like, I think it's important to take from everything, and build your own path. Now, that does bring up the whole topic of cultural appropriation, but that would be a whole other video. But, anywho, we are all eclectic humans on this earth, and I think it's a really swell idea to approach your magic in the same way. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself with one thing. Don't become a serpent that eats its own tail, because that's not going to last forever. At some point, you're going to reach the head. Anywho, this is... Sorry, I keep shaking. This was my book haul, and I'm very happy with my picks. Like, very happy. I already have my eye on a couple new books, but that's just how I am. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can follow the links down below in the channel description to go to my Instagram. You can follow me there. You can follow my Twitter. Or, and this is where I really encourage you to go, you can go to my Facebook page. There, The Nerdy Warlock, you can look at my services tab and see the readings that I offer. They are Ogum or Ogham, Tarot, Runes, Oracle, everything. And you get to pick your own deck if you pick the Tarot or the Oracle, because I have several. So, namaste and ashe. Oh my god, I haven't said that in like 7 years. Holy crap. Okay. Namaste and ashe. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.